For more than 30 years, André Rieu lived what many would describe as a double life, though not the scandalous kind people imagine. To the world, he was the exuberant king of the waltz, the man who filled stadiums, brought classical music to the masses, and made audiences laugh and cry with equal ease. His concerts sparkled with elegance, romance, and light-hearted humor. His orchestra, the Johann Strauss Orchestra, became one of the most beloved ensembles in the world, and his fans saw him as a larger-than-life figure who seemed endlessly joyful, endlessly energetic, and endlessly available. But behind the performances, the travel, the elaborate stage productions, and the charismatic smile was a man who rarely let anyone into the quieter, more vulnerable parts of his life. The double life he lived wasn't about deception, it was about balancing two worlds that almost seemed impossible to hold together. On stage, he was a symbol of celebration and grandeur. Off stage, he carried the weight of enormous responsibility, personal challenges, and pressures few ever knew about. Maintaining a global musical empire required constant work, planning tours, managing musicians, navigating financial risks, and meeting the demands of millions of fans expecting magic every night. For decades, Rieu managed all of this while protecting his private world with remarkable discipline. During the early years of his career, his double life was especially intense. He was a father raising children, a husband supporting a growing family, and a musician trying desperately to keep his dream alive. The glamorous orchestra that people know today began as a small and uncertain experiment that depended entirely on his ability to keep going, even when it exhausted him. There were periods in which he worked day and night, sometimes risking his own health, pushing past fear and doubt to make sure the orchestra survived. Audiences saw the polished performances but not the long hours of arranging, rehearsing, negotiating, and problem-solving that took place out of sight. What few realized was that Rieu often struggled with the emotional toll of being both a family man and an international star. Touring for months at a time meant missing important moments at home. He spoke in interviews about the guilt he sometimes felt, trying to be present for his loved ones while also pursuing a calling that demanded constant movement. It created an inner conflict. The public figure celebrated for bringing people together through music, and the private man trying to stay connected to his own family. It was not a contradiction he ever resented, but it was one he carried quietly for more than 30 years. Another layer of this double life involved the enormous financial stakes behind each concert. Fans saw the lights, the fireworks, the costumes, the elaborate sets, and the swirling beauty of the waltz. But Rieu knew that every show required massive investments. Building his own stages, running his own orchestral company, and producing lavish tours was a risk that could make or break entire seasons. At times he faced serious financial strain, something almost no one knew. Yet he maintained the smiling, warm personality that fans loved, never allowing the audience to feel the stress that lay behind the artistry. His musicians, many of whom have been with him for decades, also witnessed a side of him the public rarely saw. Rieu is known to be dedicated, meticulous, and deeply protective of his orchestra. He often made decisions that prioritized their well-being, even when those choices made touring more complicated. Behind the scenes, he was a mentor and a caretaker, striving to create a family atmosphere among performers who spent much of the year far from home. This role, leader, guardian, father figure, was one he took seriously, but it added another dimension to the private burden he carried. For 30 years, André Rieu managed to keep these two worlds in balance: the dazzling entertainer adored by millions, and the quiet, hard-working man who faced fatigue, pressure, and sacrifice. Only recently have more people begun to understand the depth of what he carried, thanks to interviews, documentaries, and glimpses behind the curtain that reveal the human being beneath the waltzing spectacle. The revelation isn't scandalous, it's profound. The double life he lived wasn't hidden out of shame but out of humility. He never wanted the world to focus on his struggles, he wanted them to focus on the joy his music created. And now, as more of his story becomes known, fans have a fuller appreciation of his journey. André Rieu's greatest performance was not on any stage. It was the ability to bring light to millions while quietly managing the shadows on his own.